And we are all set as soon as you are, Vice Mayor.
All right, thank you, Eric. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the City Manager Evaluation Committee for Wednesday, February 14th. I would note that we are expecting a couple of other commissioners potentially to join us, so they may be popping in as we move forward through the meeting. And this is the time for public comment. Eric, is there anyone in the waiting room waiting to make public comment?
We have no neighbors in the waiting room, Vice Mayor.
Very good. Thank you so much. I'd like to move on then to the 2024 through 2026, the 2-year work draft or work plan draft. And I will turn the meeting over to Rebecca for her presentation.
Thank you, Vice Mayor and Commissioner Reynolds. Yes, this is an exciting time. It's kind of the beginning of a new 2-year work plan date, and I'm happy to share it with you. I first and foremost need to thank all of the members of senior staff for their diligence in putting this all together. We met as a group on January 12th. It seems just like yesterday, but anyway, we met on January 12th to draft the new 2-year work plan. This is actually the second 2-year work plan. So this just began a couple of years ago. And we took the advice and some recommendations from this committee, the City Manager Performance Evaluation Committee, as well as the commission as a whole, to create metrics in which we could measure ourselves as we advance in the work. We do a lot of work as a full service city and as Team Battle Creek. So you won't see everything that we do reflected in this 2-year plan. What you're going to see is kind of those priority projects and how they align with the strategic plan, or what we call the community results and definitions set by, our community and you, our elected body. So, so you'll have some familiarity with, the layout of the 2-year plan, but I want to share some things that we wouldn't have seen last time. So it's a very large document, as you can expect when you try to capture 2 years of work on, a spreadsheet. And it's very difficult to print off. So I'll just tell you, if you try to do that, you're going to need extra special glasses beyond your reading glasses because the print is tiny. We're working through that. So I'm going to work off a computer screen, which is a little bit more challenging. So it might take me a few minutes. But anyway, how this is laid out, and again, thanks to all the work of senior staff, is by community results. So we always start with the first one, which is economy, but I'll use that as an example because we'll follow that, basically the layout throughout the entire document. So when you look at it, you'll see all 9 of the community results, the last being governance, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So you'll see that, result number 1 is economy. And then we'll take a look at kind of the theme or the concept. And, that varies by result. So the first one in the layout is business-friendly city policies and services to encourage growth. And so everything that is included in here from our perspective as your staff is it meets or is aligned with business-friendly city policies and services. But what you'll see is because you're looking at a working draft, anything that's not going forward, or let me say, all the great work that our teams did to complete some of our activities, you'll see that in this draft document. So if it's crossed out, it either has changed in priority, and we'll tell you why, or happily, we will share with you that item was completed. So that's kind of how you'll see this document flow throughout. So if I just take a look at I gave you the concept. The definition that describes that concept would be the second column. So in this instance, it creates a business-friendly environment that encourages business and economic growth for everyone. So then that is the definition. And then you'll go to the work plan item. So the next 2 columns, we did leave in there so that you would see progress from the 22-23 2-year plan to the 24-25 2-year plan. We talked a lot about this as a staff, but we want you to know, and I know you've seen the 22-23 all year, but we want you to see how those completions have allowed us then to bring other priorities in for the 24-25. So if I just take the very first one, we talk about SBD, that's the Small Business Development Team, manage a shared tool to track the entry and exit of businesses into the system. That's the 22-23. But then you can see this is still a priority in 24-25, and they are going to continue that through their technical assistance and tracking and training. So I'm just trying to give you this is how this lays out. When the commission as a whole ultimately approves the 2-year plan, then we will remove the 22-23. So all you'll see then is the 24-25, and we will update accordingly. But I think it's important that you see kind of the progress. It was important for us because sometimes you can look at this and be like, are we making any progress? And I'm like, yes, you are. And we can see it when we go back and we talk through this as a team. So it's a lot. I mean, if you print it out, it's more than 20 pages. But again, we are doing a lot of things. And, the other thing we want to demonstrate in this, in this model is that everything we do from these priority projects ties back to one of the results and definitions that you established and approved, or that we're asking you to approve. So, I'm going to start, the economy is our result number 1. Do you want, I don't think it's helpful if I share a screen. I should have asked that before. It will make the print tiny if you would like me to, or are you able to follow along? I want to do what's most helpful. I probably should have asked that up front. Vice Mayor or Commissioner?
Mr. Reynolds, Commissioner Lance, do you want Rebecca sharing her screen, or?
No, I'm good. I've got it.
You're good. Commissioner Lance?
I don't need her to share the screen. Nope.
Okay, thank
All
you.
right, all good. Thank you.
Vice Mayor. So then for economy, we have that first theme, and then you'll follow that through. There's an A, B, C, D, all of that. I don't have to go through all of that with you. Really, I want you to know this is how we got to where we are. I think the other one that I most often talk through, because it's a little bit different than our other themes, is when we get to governance. And that will start on my PDF page number 22. So governance, unlike the others, they're very probably more externally facing projects with related definitions and activities. With governance, a lot of this has to do with all of those services that are more internal. Not that it doesn't impact our neighbors, it absolutely does, but a lot of that is inwardly facing. So for example, HR, the city's HR is both external and internal facing, but they have some priorities that are, more internal to the organization. So that's why governance is a little bit different. And then certainly with the addition of the DEI office, you will see how all of that work really can be incorporated into our theme, into our community results and definitions. So from a governance perspective, if I just look at that first theme, accessibility, you see kind of what we were planning in the 22-23 year, which continues in the 24-25 years. Because we're still working through that. Certainly one of the biggest things is the completion of the renovation of floor 1, the first floor, to be more accessible. We know that a lot of our persons with disabilities, they struggle getting into City Hall in certain areas. We even have trouble right now getting the disability door to be programmed to be open for night meetings, because it's older technology. So we're really looking forward to those improvements that will help from an accessibility standpoint and safety standpoint, not only for our employees, but anybody who visits City Hall, no matter how they're visiting, whether they have a disability, they don't, English as a second language, those things we are trying to do our best to accommodate on the first floor in this renovation. So you'll see several of those things, but you'll also see, I hope, and this really stood out for this period, is how our different departments are working together to meet the objective. So if I just look at that, the city acts in an honest, accessible, open, and transparent way and is engaging and responsive, I can see where community services, communications, and DEI are all working together to complete a resident engagement assessment that includes MPC structure, various models of engagement. I don't have to read all of that, but so we are trying not to do things in a vacuum or in our silos that sometimes we can get into, even as an organization where you know, it seems like a lot. We have almost 600 employees, but we're still considered small. And so each one of those divisions will be asked then to contribute to the progress of that particular work plan item. So, you know, Vice Mayor, you and I talked before. I think that I wanted to make sure that the committee understood how we got to this document. I wanted you to be able to see areas of progress from last 2-year plan, and then also see where we are headed in the next 2-year plan. Also, what we have, you know, this is really staff's recommendations for the next 2 years. You know, I have heard that there are commissioners that want to add to this plan, and, you know, this is what I'm going to be looking to this group to help me with, as far as how do we then bring this forward to the commission for approval and, you know, for discussion and then hopefully approval. Because it is a large document. And, you know, again, we're providing it to all of you so you can hold us accountable, and our community can hold us accountable, because they will have access to this plan for these work plan items. Want to make sure, one, this aligns with what you were thinking about for the next 2 years, and, you know, kind of the spirit of the 2-year work plan in itself. Did you see value in it last year, the last 2 years? And do you see adequate progress? Because one of the things we talked about too in our retreat is, are there too many? Have we set ourselves up to not show, you know, enough progress? It's important to all of us. And I know it's important to you that we can tell you that we've made progress, or we celebrate every one of those squares that got a complete, because we know how much work it took to get to that complete. And, you know, for us, I can tell you that was great, but is that, you know, is that what the commission's expectations are around us achieving your kind of strategic objectives as our elected body? So I was setting it up like that, but if there are specific themes or that you would like me to discuss in general, I can do that too. Trust me, I can see most of this in my sleep because we look at it so much. I got to give kudos to Ted too. He's been tackling some of the formatting issues we can have in SharePoint. It's a work in progress there. So hopefully it will be a little easier to print next time, but again, work in progress.
Just let me start by saying I appreciate the 2-year kind of planning. I think that it's better for the city. It allows the city to kind of really dig in and try and accomplish some of these goals. I was pleased when I went through the report to see so many things had been lined out and marked as complete. I think sometimes 12 months, just given kind of the cumbersomeness of government and the speed at which things move, it's not always easy to accomplish in that 12-month period. And it provides some continuity. Can you walk us through, before we begin our discussion on the process, what was the process that we used to create this document?
Okay, so it started with the city commission reevaluating our community results and definitions. So a year ago. Was it a year ago or just, yeah.
It was more
fall of 23. God, time. So yeah, just that period of time. That was the beginning of what we call now the 2-year work plan process. It won't always be that you review the community results and definitions. That happens every 5 years. We just happened to fall on it was 5 years. It was time to do it. So that was set. Then what we did was, you know, we asked directors to go in and begin the modification. So what gets crossed off as completed, what gets crossed off as it's no longer a priority, what gets carried forward into the new 2-year work plan, and what are new things that are going to appear in the 24-25 work plan. So they started there so that when we went,
not to interrupt. I guess how we got to the 22-23 work plan. Can refresh my memory, I guess. So we had the community goals that are done every 5 years. Then the commission, then we started our work as a commission, setting, like, kind of working on creating this large document.
Yeah, again, it started with staff to give it some bones, some framework, then it went to commission for any tweaking.
And how many meetings did we have on that? How many hours of meetings did we have on this?
So when I went back, I had to, you and I talked a little bit about it. When I went back, if we separate out the work that Peter Doms did with us, kind of to get us to the new community results and definitions,
Mhm.
then when it came forward to commission, there was really 2 workshops. And then it went in front of the commission for
Okay.
consideration of approval. But if you include Peter Doms, that was a series of 4.5 work sessions or workshops with the commission, then it went forward.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Reynolds or Commissioner Lance, what are your thoughts on how we move this 2-year work plan forward? Understanding we have 4 new commissioners who were not part of putting the 22-23 work plan together. So what are your thoughts on the best way to move forward so that if they have new ideas, or if you have new ideas, I mean, whomever on the commission, but so that we can incorporate any new work items and potentially deleting some of the work items that might be on there that are no longer considered a priority, if there are in fact any on there. So thoughts?
What kind of time frame do we have, Vice Mayor?
Oh, that's Rebecca. When do we have to have this done?
Well, there is no set, it has to be done. And let me tell you, probably I should have mentioned that too when we talk, how do we get there? The other thing the commission did is they moved the city manager evaluation to a 2-year process. So I just had an evaluation in 23. I won't have another one until the end of, until 25. So when you say how long do we have to approve it? Well, technically, as long as you would need as a commission, but you would want to start getting quarterly updates. I mean,
Of course.
once you approve it, then we start doing quarterly updates. So it feels a little nebulous, and it's really up to you when you want to start evaluating progress and in what quarter.
Well, my concerns are, with the new commissioners, okay, if they jump in and start, wanting to make changes and so forth and so on, it's going to make the process even longer. Yes, we can listen to, what they may have to say, but I'm just kind of leery about more participation in what they may have to say to prolong what we have to get started and keep moving. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So would you then think that, and I know we had this conversation briefly, but like maybe an hour-long workshop before a city commission meeting should be enough time. I mean, everybody's going to get the email that's got all of this stuff that we look at on a quarterly basis. It's up to them to come to the meeting prepared, having reviewed the materials, and say, I want to add this, or I think that this isn't a priority for me, and I think that it could be removed. Would you think that would be
Do you think
accurate?
we have to have a workshop to do that though, Vice Mayor? Can we just do an email and or does it have to be public?
I
May
think
I
it
add
has,
something?
of
Well,
course.
if there's going to be any type of deliberation, which I could imagine there is going to be some, you don't want to do it via email because you don't want
Email,
to.
yeah, that's right. The FOIA,
But
yeah, okay,
I had a
okay.
suggestion too. What we've done in the past, particularly when we get a large turnover of elected officials, is that, like myself and Ted will sit down with the new commissioners and go through this and then capture anything that they potentially would like to discuss with the whole commission. Then we would have had that sit down and hopefully answer all their questions and then inputted anything they would like the commission as a whole to discuss, which might be easier to get through in a 1-hour workshop before the commission meeting. I can't promise
I think that.
you know what I mean? But it could be at least another step to help the new ones feel like they're not so far behind.
Sure. I like that approach as well.
But I'm
And
open
then-
to whatever you decide.
Vice Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Lance, what are you guys thinking?
Commissioner Lance, did you want to weigh in?
He's on mute. And I don't think he
Here.
knows it.
Uh-oh.
You're muted.
You hear me now?
There you go.
Yes, we can. Yes, we
Okay, I must have hit something because my screen's off. Anyway, I have no problem with that plan.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no problem with that plan.
I think, Rebecca, that's a really good idea. If you and Ted sit down with the new commissioners and kind of go through, it is an extensive document. If you're able to go through that with them, and then we could have a workshop after you have that opportunity.
If it's
So-
I
necessary.
think that would help. Yes. I think
I
that
think-
that might help clear up some things that they may have possibly and some understanding.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. So I would envision that you might be able to do that by the end of March. Just, either in addition to their one-on-one, I don't know how everybody does their one-on-ones, and if somebody comes to you, if they typically come to you with like 45 minutes worth of, I need help with this, or what's going on with that. I don't know how you handle that, and that is a you and Ted and Rebecca.
We can do it. We can take care of that. Yep.
And then once that is done, then we need to, then we can look at scheduling a workshop to discuss so that deliberations can occur, because it would be added, and I don't know, can you guys add to this and take away from this? Not
We can.
arbitrarily, but
I mean, staff, once it's approved as a document by the commission, no, we won't do any additions or removals unless the city commission approves that.
so why don't then we talk, you and I can talk offline after you're able to have those conversations? Because if commissioners aren't coming to you with either anything new or anything that they want removed, there's not going to need to be any discussion as a body about what should be added and what shouldn't be added. You can administratively do that and then just present this plan to the commission for adoption without the need for a workshop.
I agree with that,
Yes.
Vice Mayor. Yes.
I'm trying to help here, guys.
Yeah.
You are. Thank you.
So,
And we can make ourselves available to any commissioner. Perhaps I should have said that. Certainly we'll reach out to the new ones to walk them through, but any commissioner that wants to, as part of their monthly, or they want additional time, we can go through this before it comes for a final approval from the commission. Happy to do that. And if you say March, I mean, I have monthly meetings with everybody in March, and I'll just add that to the first thing on the agenda.
I think that if you can do that throughout the month of March and get feedback, I mean, what I don't want to have happen is have this document as an agenda item on a regular commission agenda and then have that turned into a 3-hour talk fest about what is and isn't on the document and what should and shouldn't be there and why isn't my project on there and these projects are, or something along those lines. And I mean, I don't think that having those conversations in the middle of what is supposed to be a business meeting is going to be helpful for the process or for any of us.
No, that will not, yes, that
Hey.
won't work.
I'll do all I can, but
Okay.
I cannot promise what would it not be.
Our superhero.
I'll need your help at a commission meeting if we go, I mean, if I come back and I say, hey, these are all the questions, we had one addition, no remove, we didn't remove anything, I think we're ready. I can't guarantee you there won't be a 3-hour discussion. I guess I would have to and lean into the three of you and others.
Okay, but yes, why don't we try doing that? If you have those conversations and can administratively make changes to this, and we don't need a workshop, I am all for it.
Yep, I can make changes right up until the day that the commission approves it administratively.
If you need my time, I'm to speak to a couple of those commissioners extra, but I can see that time to them.
Thank you, Commissioner Lance. Actually, your comments in some of our, kind of 3-on-1 meetings have been really helpful to get the discussion moving or not moving.
Let me know if you need me to be there to facilitate.
I'll help.
Appreciate that.
I'll help Commissioner Lance tag team too. So
Appreciate all of you.
A bit of housekeeping. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from September 22nd, 2023?
so moved.
Motion by Commissioner Reynolds. Commissioner Lance, can you support that?
I can.
Very good. Thank you. So motion by Reynolds, support by Lance. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so we've approved the minutes. Committee meeting schedule, our committee meeting. When are we set to meet again? Is that May?
Well, if we go to the quarterly schedule, nothing is set beyond today's meeting. So,
Okay.
the ordinance defines that this body is supposed to meet bi-monthly, so every other month. We kind of have shifted that a little bit to quarterly. So if we take through the end of March to complete the draft to be presented to the commission, then you would meet in the second quarter, whether that be April, May, or June. We would meet somewhere in that 3-month period and then do quarterly after that. I did not hear back from Jill on, do we need to amend the ordinance to allow that? If we have to meet bi-monthly, we can. And, Vice Mayor, you've just kind of done that on an as needed basis. But if there are no issues outside of the kind of report outs of the progress of the 2-year plan, then quarterly did seem okay. But just so you know, that's how it's defined in the ordinance.
Well, and I think, we've talked a little bit about, Rebecca's not going to be with the city forever. And I don't know that I would want to change it from the bi-monthly meeting requirement, because there may be a point where we have a city manager and a city commission that need more frequent touch points throughout the course of the year.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
So why don't we then, and maybe Becca or Vicky, I'm not sure how that works, but do a doodle poll for May or June.
Okay.
And I'm not sure with Commissioner Morris's new position working in the schools, if it's easier for her to meet when school is out.
Well, you know what? That's a good point. Let us try to work through that in the doodle. We'll
Yes.
kind of give would you morning, afternoon, and then we can work that. Not a problem.
I'm not sure of her work schedule, so.
Yes, and the tax schedule, because right now the Transportation Authority is meeting 2 times a month. So,
okay.
yes, so she, we may need to be a little bit flexible for her time.
Absolutely. All right, is there any other business that needs to come before the committee?
I have none.
All right, hearing none, I will adjourn the meeting, and it is 2:09, so not bad, half hour. I promised you we would try and get you in and out as soon as possible, so
Thank you.